Well, certainly, I think what we've seen is that the conditions that are existing along the border create some of these situations, and I think that there's been a big emphasis in ensuring that the way that the children, once they make it into the United States, that they are placed with sponsors and that they do so in a way that it will be, with individuals that will be caring for them. And so as a result of that investigation, Departments of Labor and Health and Human Services announced steps that they would be taking to ensure that this would happen. For example, they announced the creation of a task force that would allow the federal government to communicate, because when we're talking about kids, the way that the U.S. system is set up, there's different responsibilities that fall within different departments within the federal government. And so it's really a disparate approach. It's not concentrated into one single agency. And sometimes that makes it a bit harder to communicate with each other. So this task force, I think, is going to be aiming to do more of that. But they're also announcing, for example, that the Department of Health and Human Services, which take care of unaccompanied minors, they're announcing plans to follow up with children after they've been placed with sponsors to ensure that, for example, they're enrolled in school, that they have access to medical and mental health services, and again ensuring that they're being placed with individuals that will be caring for them, as opposed to take advantage of the fact that they're being brought into the country. But I will also add that I think that the way that the system is set up also makes it a bit difficult, because a lot of times many of these families, whether they're the parents and the children traveling together or just the child alone, a lot of times they'll go into heavy debt to be able to get to the United States. And so once they reach here, they're under immense pressure to be able to repay that debt, or in many instances also to provide for their family back home. And so that sort of incentivizes them to do some of these jobs or look for ways to make money. And even when they're traveling with their parents or relatives, many instances when they make it to the United States, they're unable to work legally because they don't have access to a work permit until about 6 to 12 months after they arrive. And so then that also sort of creates the conditions where not just the parents but also the children could potentially be pressured or feel that pressure to provide. But there's certainly a lot of attention that's receiving now, and I think one of the component that I think is important to talk about here is that these are companies that are taking advantage of this. And so for example, the Department of Labor is calling on Congress to increase the penalties that companies could face if they do employ children.